Imagine receiving a letter and being asked to pay for it before you could read a single word. The farther that letter had traveled, the more it could cost. The price could depend on distance, weight, the number of sheets inside, and a complicated postal system that many ordinary people could barely understand, let alone afford. Then in 1840, everything changed. A tiny piece of paper, smaller than a modern postage stamp, introduced a revolutionary idea. The sender would pay, the price would be simple, and 1 penny could carry a letter across Britain. It featured a young Queen Victoria. It had no perforations, it contained hidden identifying letters, and although it became one of the most famous collectibles in history, it was replaced in less than a year. Why? Because its color created a serious security problem. Was the penny black truly the first postage stamp? Is every surviving example extremely valuable? And could an apparently ordinary copy hide a rare plate, unusual cancellation, or extraordinary postal story? This is the penny black, the world's first adhesive postage stamp used in a public postal system. Today, we're going deep into the story of the stamp that transformed global communication and discovering what every collector should know. Get to know the penny black. To understand why the penny black mattered, we must first understand the postal system that existed before it. In early 19th century Britain, sending a letter was neither simple nor inexpensive. Postage rates could be calculated according to the distance traveled, the route taken, and the number of sheets of paper used. In many cases, it was the recipient, not the sender, who was expected to pay. That created several problems. A recipient could refuse an unwanted letter. Poorer families could struggle to afford correspondence. Businesses faced confusing charges, while attempts to avoid postal fees placed additional pressure on the system. Reformers believed communication should be simpler, cheaper, and available to far more people. One of the most influential reformers was Rowland Hill. In 1837, Hill published proposals for reforming the British Post Office. His central argument was powerful. Much of the cost of processing a letter came from handling it, not simply from carrying it a greater distance. Instead of an unpredictable system, Hill proposed uniform postage. A lightweight letter could travel anywhere within the United Kingdom for 1 penny. Just as importantly, the postage would be paid in advance. But how could postal workers instantly recognize that payment had already been made? One proposed answer was an adhesive label that could be attached directly to the letter. A public competition invited designs for the new system. Thousands of entries were submitted, although none was adopted exactly as presented. The final stamp used a recognizable profile of the young Queen Victoria, derived from William Wyon's portrait created for a medal. The image was refined for the stamp by artist Henry Corbould and engraved by Charles and Frederick Heath. The result was elegant, authoritative, and difficult to imitate. The penny black became available in May 1840 and was officially valid for postage from 6th of May. It represented more than a new postal charge. For the first time, the general public could purchase a small adhesive stamp that visibly proved postage had been prepaid. A complicated transaction had become a simple action. Buy it, moisten it, attach it, post the letter. A communication revolution had begun. The penny black did not emerge in isolation. It appeared during a period of enormous economic, technological, and social change. Britain was industrializing, cities were growing, railways were accelerating the movement of people, goods, and information. Businesses needed to communicate with customers and suppliers. Families were increasingly separated by work and migration. Government departments, publishers, banks, and commercial organizations depended upon reliable correspondence. Yet communication remained constrained by cost and complexity. The uniform penny post helped remove part of that barrier. A 1 penny rate meant that an eligible letter could travel throughout Britain without the charge increasing simply because of distance. That principle was transformative. The stamp connected several participants. The sender purchased and attached it. The Postal Service processed the letter. The recipient received it without being presented with the normal postage charge. And the government maintained the system, rates, printing, and security arrangements behind it. The reform helped make written communication available to a broader section of society. Letters could support personal relationships, commercial activity, education, administration, and the circulation of ideas. Other postal administrations soon introduced adhesive postage stamps of their own. The Brazilian bullseye appeared in 1843. The United States issued federal postage stamps in 1847. Over time, the postage stamp became a standard feature of communication around the world. It also created something its designers may not have fully anticipated: a global collecting culture. Stamps were no longer only proof of payment. They became miniature documents of history. They displayed monarchs, presidents, national symbols, discoveries, wildlife, architecture, conflicts, anniversaries, and cultural achievements. And at the beginning of that enormous story sits one small black stamp. Today, the penny black connects postal historians, traditional stamp collectors, social historians, design specialists, security printing researchers, auction houses, and museums. Collectors study not only the stamp itself, but also the printing plate, corner letters, margins, cancellation, date of use, envelope, route, and message it carried. The penny black matters because it is simultaneously an object, an invention, and evidence of a changing society. At its core, the penny black is a one-penny adhesive, imperforate postage stamp bearing the portrait of Queen Victoria. But almost every part of its design served a purpose. At the top is the word postage. This distinguished the item's postal function from fiscal or revenue stamps used for taxes and official charges. At the bottom are the words 1 penny, identifying the amount prepaid. In the center is Queen Victoria, shown in profile. She was only 21 when the penny black appeared, but the portrait was based on an image of her as a younger princess. The familiar profile remained associated with British stamps throughout her reign. The top corners contain star-like ornaments, commonly described as Maltese crosses. The lower corners are different. Each contains a letter. These check letters identify where the stamp appeared within its original printed sheet. Each sheet contained 240 stamps arranged in 20 rows and 12 columns. The first stamp in the upper left position carried the letters AA. The next was AB, followed by AC, continuing across the row. The final position in the bottom right corner was TL. This arrangement gave every position on the sheet its own letter combination. There was also an elegant connection to Britain's pre-decimal currency. 240 pennies equaled £1, so an entire sheet of 240 penny blacks had a face value of exactly £1. A row of 12 stamps represented 1 shilling. The stamps were recess printed by Perkins, Bacon & Company. The master design was engraved in reverse. It was then transferred repeatedly onto a printing plate, creating all 240 stamp positions. Because these plates could wear, become damaged, or require repair, specialists can study tiny differences between impressions. This process is known as plating. A collector may examine features such as the exact position of the check letters, fine engraved lines, re-entries, repairs, and other characteristics to determine which plate produced a stamp. The penny black was produced from multiple plates. Specialists generally distinguish Plate 1 in its earlier and reworked states as Plates 1A and 1B. Plate 11 is particularly sought after because only a relatively small quantity of penny blacks was printed from it before that plate was used for red stamps. Unlike modern stamps, the penny black had no perforations. Postal clerks had to cut individual stamps from sheets using scissors. This seemingly ordinary act created one of the most important differences between surviving examples. A well-cut penny black may have 4 complete white margins surrounding the printed design. Another might have a neighboring stamp's design visible at one edge. A poorly cut example may lose part of its own frame. For collectors, those margins matter enormously. Once attached to a letter, the stamp needed to be canceled so that it could not be used again. The famous cancellation associated with the penny black is the red Maltese Cross. The mark could vary because different inks, hand stamps, and local practices were used. But there was a flaw. A red cancellation did not always stand out clearly against the black stamp. Worse, attempts could sometimes be made to remove the cancellation and reuse the stamp. The solution was brilliantly simple. Reverse the colors. The stamp became red and the cancellation became black. That change produced the penny red, introduced in 1841. So the penny black's working life was short, but its influence was permanent. Understanding the history is important, but what does collecting a penny black look like in practice? Imagine finding one inside an old album. The stamp is black, bears Queen Victoria's portrait, and has letters in the lower corners. Your first reaction might be, "I found the world's first stamp. It must be worth a fortune." But identification is only the beginning. A collector should investigate 5 major areas: authenticity, condition, margins, cancellation, and postal context. First, establish whether the stamp is genuine. The fame of the penny black has encouraged reproductions, facsimiles, altered examples, and forgeries. A digital image may help with an initial comparison, but a serious purchase, especially an expensive example, may justify examination by a recognized philatelic expert or certification service. Next, inspect the condition. Look for thinning, tears, creases, stains, surface abrasions, fading, and repairs. A stamp can look attractive from the front while hiding damage on the reverse. Aggressive cleaning can also remove evidence, change the paper, or damage the printed surface. Never assume that making an old stamp look newer will make it more valuable. Then examine the margins. Because the penny black was cut by hand, 4 clear margins are highly desirable. However, margin size should be evaluated alongside the stamp's overall appearance, centering, impression, and condition. A rare plate or significant postal use may remain important even when the stamp is not perfectly cut. The cancellation also deserves careful study. Is it a red Maltese Cross? Is it clearly struck? Does it obscure the portrait? Does the color and style appear appropriate? An unusual or attractive cancellation can add interest, but rarity claims should be supported by specialist references. Finally, determine whether the stamp remains attached to an original cover. A loose stamp tells one story. A stamp on an envelope can tell many more. The cover may preserve a date, post town, destination, rate, transit marking, sender, recipient, and historical message. An early May 1840 use can be especially significant because it helps document the introduction of the new postal system. The correct approach is not to remove a stamp simply because the envelope looks old or damaged. Separating it may destroy postal evidence and reduce the historical or financial importance of the complete item. Storage matters as well. Use archival quality materials. Avoid tape, glue, lamination, and direct handling of the stamp's surface. Keep it away from excessive light, humidity, and rapidly changing environmental conditions. If you are considering a purchase, do not rely on the phrase penny black alone. Ask, which plate produced it? What are the check letters? Does it have 4 margins? Is it unused, used, or still on cover? Has it been repaired? Does it have expert certification? And what comparable examples have actually sold, not merely been advertised for? Success in collecting should not be measured only by price. A modest example with a clear story can be more rewarding than a technically superior stamp that teaches you nothing. Despite its fame, the penny black is surrounded by myths. Myth 1. The penny black is the rarest stamp in the world. It is not. Tens of millions were originally printed, and many examples survive. Some can be expensive, particularly in exceptional unused condition, or when connected to rare plates, important dates, or unusual postal history. But an ordinary used penny black is not automatically among the world's rarest stamps. Fame and rarity are not the same thing. Myth 2. Every penny black is extremely valuable. Again, condition and context matter. A damaged example cut deeply into the design will usually be viewed differently from a 4-margin example with a strong impression and attractive cancellation. A rare plate, early cover, or documented variety may change the picture dramatically. There is no single value for a penny black. Myth 3. Black ink made the stamp more secure. The detailed engraving helped discourage counterfeiting, but the color created a problem for cancellation. The red cancellation could be difficult to see against the black design and could be vulnerable to attempted removal. That is precisely why the postal authorities moved to a red stamp with a black cancellation. Myth 4. The penny black invented prepaid postage. Prepayment and postal markings existed before 1840. What made the penny black revolutionary was its role as the first adhesive postage stamp used within a public postal system. The innovation brought together affordable uniform postage, sender prepayment, and a reusable administrative model that could be adopted internationally. Myth 5. The stamp should have perforations. Original penny blacks were issued imperforate. If you see a penny black surrounded by modern-style perforations, further investigation is required. It could be a later reproduction, commemorative item, altered piece, or something entirely different. Now for today's Collectiblepedia Fact or Fiction Challenge. Because millions of penny blacks were printed, the letters in the lower corners have no importance to collectors. What do you think? Fact or fiction? The answer is fiction. The lower letters identify the stamp's position within the original sheet. Combined with the engraved characteristics of that impression, they can help specialists determine the plate and position from which the stamp originated. Those two tiny letters can therefore become an important part of authentication, plating, and research. Experts continue to debate attribution and classification when impressions are unclear. Stamps are heavily canceled or plate characteristics overlap. Collectors may also place different levels of importance on visual beauty, postal history, plate rarity, and condition. There is not always one universally best penny black. The right example depends on the story you want your collection to tell. The penny black is often discussed alongside two closely related stamps, the penny red and the 2 penny blue. The penny black paid the basic 1 penny letter rate. The 2 penny blue served a higher rate and appeared during the same postal reform era. Its design closely resembled the penny black, but its blue color and 2 pence denomination immediately distinguished it. The penny red was the penny black's practical successor. Its central purpose remained the same, but the color change allowed a black cancellation to appear more clearly. The penny black can also be compared with modern stamps. A modern stamp may be self-adhesive, machine-readable, and protected by fluorescent inks, barcodes, security cuts, or digital identifiers. The penny black relied on detailed engraving, controlled production, check letters, and physical cancellation. Modern stamps are designed for automated postal networks. The penny black belonged to a world of hand-cut sheets, handwritten letters, and manually applied postmarks. Yet the central concept remains remarkably familiar. A small printed object confirms that a postal service has been paid to carry an item. For a new collector, the penny black is not the only entry point into early philately. Penny reds, later Victorian issues, postal covers, cancellations, and affordable study examples may provide broader collecting opportunities. Rather than asking, which stamp is always the best investment, ask, which item is authentic? Which story interests me? What can I learn from it? And does its condition, provenance, and price make sense for my collection? The penny black belongs to 1840, but the ways we study and collect it continue to evolve. High-resolution imaging allows specialists to compare extremely fine details. Digital databases can connect plate characteristics, check letter positions, postmarks, and known covers. Image recognition systems may increasingly assist collectors by identifying design features and suggesting possible plate matches. Scientific techniques can help researchers examine paper, ink, and alterations without relying only on the naked eye. These tools may improve discovery and documentation, but they also create risks. Digital images can be manipulated. Online listings can repeat incorrect information. AI-generated identifications may sound confident while overlooking repairs, forged cancellations, or subtle physical evidence. Technology should support expert judgment, not replace it. Provenance is also becoming increasingly important. Collectors want to know where an item came from, how it was identified, and whether its history can be supported. Digital collection records may help future owners preserve that information. Online communities can also connect specialists who once depended on correspondence, printed catalogs, and occasional exhibitions. A collector in one country can now share a detailed scan with experts around the world within seconds. But the physical object remains irreplaceable. The paper was made in the 19th century. The impression came from a historic printing plate. The cancellation was applied during the age of Queen Victoria, and if the stamp remains on cover, that envelope physically completed a journey through the world the stamp helped transform. The penny black's lasting importance is not simply that it came first. Its deeper legacy is the idea that communication could become simpler, more predictable, and more accessible. Every modern postage stamp inherited part of that idea. Even as physical mail competes with instant digital communication, the penny black reminds us that revolutionary technologies are not always large or complicated. Sometimes they are small enough to fit on the corner of an envelope. Today we discovered that the penny black was the world's first adhesive postage stamp used in a public postal system. We explored how Rowland Hill's postal reforms helped replace complex charges with affordable, uniform prepaid postage. We examined Queen Victoria's portrait, the engraved printing process, the sheet of 240 stamps, and the check letters that identified every position. We learned why 4 clear margins matter, why covers can preserve more history than loose stamps, and why authenticity, condition, plate, cancellation, and provenance can all affect collectability. And we uncovered the penny black's greatest weakness. Its red cancellation did not work effectively against its black design, helping lead to the introduction of the penny red. Most importantly, the penny black proves that historical importance and rarity are not the same thing. Its fame comes not simply from how many survive or how much one might sell for. It comes from what this tiny object represents: a new way to pay, a new way to communicate, and the beginning of a worldwide collecting tradition. But this is only one chapter in the extraordinary history of postage stamps. Next time on Collectiblepedia, we'll explore another philatelic legend, the Mauritius Post Office, stamps, and discover why 2 words helped create one of the most famous stories in collecting. If you enjoyed this episode, like the video, subscribe to Collectiblepedia, and tell us in the comments, would you rather own a perfectly preserved loose penny black or a less perfect example still attached to a historically important letter? You can continue exploring the fascinating world of collectibles at collectiblepedia.com. Learn the history, understand the details, and discover the stories hidden inside the objects people collect. Thank you for watching Collectiblepedia, part of the MP Nerds ecosystem.